Hey, what's up, Giants fans? Welcome to another episode of Giants Talk. I'm Cole Kuiper here with Giants insider Alex Pavlovic. We've got more updates from spring training as games roll along in Scottsdale, and the Giants vying for the top slot. Another hang the banner in Arizona. Plus, Alex sat down with Bryce Eldridge, the future of the franchise. One of the interviews you've been waiting for from Scottsdale. So stay tuned to this episode for that. Before we get started, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini's Sleep World. Why Mancini's? What separates us from others? The Rest Easy Promise. That means 365-night comfort guarantee, free next-day delivery and old mattress removal, best price guarantee, and 0% financing for 60 months. You won't find this combination of benefits anywhere else. It's comfort, convenience, and confidence all rolled into one. Stop by or visit online at sleepworld.com. Okay, Alex, updates from Scottsdale. Let's start off with, obviously, I'm going to jinx them, but the boys are, as of us recording this Wednesday afternoon, undefeated. They are mid-game right now, and I believe the Brewers have stormed back. But hey, I can safely say it as we record this.
I just checked right before we got on here, and it's 8-8 in the fifth inning, and I just feel so bad for my fellow beat writers who are sitting on a 4-hour spring game.
Yes, a 5-run Carson Whisenhunt inning kind of blew that wide open. But hey, it seems like it's been going very, very well for the Giants in Scottsdale.
Yeah, I mean, other than a couple of blow-ups from Birdsong and Whisenhunt, the pitching's been excellent. What stood out to me, I flew home on Monday just for a few days. What stood out to me, the 3 games I watched, was it wasn't just, the guys we know. Basically, everybody fighting for a bullpen job, for the most part, has pitched well their first time out. And then, some of the kids, some of the AA guys, even guys who were in high A last year, some of those guys had really effective innings. So it's early, it's spring training, but that's positive. And I think the biggest thing, this is something I'll probably say maybe I'll decide if I say it every Monday or Thursday, but as long as you're healthy this time of year, nothing else really matters.
Yes.
For the key guys. And they've had really good health, and they came into camp healthy, and so far nothing too notable.
Anyone specific we want to start with? Logan Webb, we got to look at finally, not someone we're too worried about going into spring training, but obviously his spring training looks a little different than everyone else's, with him leaving the team to go join Team USA. But struck out 4, right?
Struck out 4. he's the interesting thing about him, and we don't have official word yet, but he is lined up to pitch that first WBC game. And also we know now that Skubal is not gonna pitch more than once. So seems like Logan and Skeens are gonna be the guys for that team. I don't know who pitches if they make it all the way to the end. It's about who's lined up. Maybe neither of them. I haven't checked what Skeens' schedule looks like, but seems like Logan has a good chance to be one of the guys for that team. And we know him. He's built up this time of year anyway, and I think he's been throwing longer sessions than everybody else in camp. So looks like he's ready to go out there and not just be like, hey, here's 2 innings. Go out there and give him more than maybe most could. I think the standouts for me is just going back to the young guys. There's been a couple wobbles here and a couple real ugly lines for key guys. But other than that, most of them have thrown really well, and we've seen some velocity upticks. Trevor McDonald's up to 97 the other day. I am just really intrigued by what I've seen from him, even in live bullpen sessions. And you and I keep joking about why didn't we see him more than 3 times last year. And I think that was, as much as we like to laugh about the cameo, I think the cameo also gave him a little something to build on and a little confidence boost, and was like, hey, you're in the mix here going into next spring, and put on some good weight. He said he's going to bed earlier, which was
wow.
I'm like, that's not usually the one you hear in spring training. I guess we forget sometimes. Some of these guys, especially the high school drafted kids, they maybe were going to bed at 3 for a while.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. He's 24, so this is still I'm in my early 20s. It's novel to get to bed on time.
He's probably still going to bed after you and I, But
Absolutely.
yeah, but he said he's sleeping more, he's eating better, just a little more intentional about everything. And I'm going to keep making this comparison. I mean, it just reminds me a lot of Roop a couple years ago, where you go, this is one of their best 13, and how do you get him on the staff, and what kind of role does he have, and where does he go from there? But there's some guys who have, Blade Tidwell has thrown well. We've talked about him. So some of those young arms, I think, are the standouts to me. Just, it's funny because it's exactly what we talked about all of last spring, is how much they put on the young guys. And Buster has been very open about that in the interviews I've done with him here, where I kind of asked him, like, what's the big lesson you learned from your first year? And he's like, we ran out of pitching, and the young pitching wasn't what we thought, but they're leaning on it again. And again, we're sitting here going, like, these guys look pretty good. So a lot of them look like they can help.
I mean, Buster was once a young guy who was heavily relied on. So I guess he gets it. Although I don't think that we can expect every young professional baseball player to live up to the Buster Posey Rookie of the Year standard.
Yeah, it's so hard in spring training to figure out what you have to. I mean, some of the lineups that have come over from other teams, I'm like, all right, there's two guys in there. So it's tough, but even in live BPs, I thought a couple of these guys, and Wisenhunt had the stumble today, but he looked great the first time we saw him this spring. So that group has generally thrown pretty well, and we'll just keep banging that drum. They need 2 or 3 of those guys really to
figure it out,
step up.
Yeah. The question I keep getting mailbag or listener questions about is our outfield, and kind of which of these guys we're following in spring training games are playing for spots on this team, and which are playing for, like, I don't know, showcasing for trades or potentially other teams, because it is a crowded field.
It is. Matos hit a homer today. We've gotten some questions about him, so I just put him at the top here.
Yeah.
I don't think we've talked a lot about him, and to be honest, like, he's kind of been, you're trying to, like, read between the lines a lot in camp, and you're just out there watching, like, who's doing drills where, who's on live BP on the main field, who's on live BP on the backfield. And Matos has really been with the backups, like the younger guys, and a lot of the guys who are not going to be in the mix. So he hasn't gotten a lot of time in the outfield so far through, our recording here. So he's just kind of been, it's a weird one. Like, it's just kind of been put to the side a little bit, but at the same time, obviously they have a real reason to take a long look at him this spring, and he is out of options. They have to make a decision. So also doesn't make sense to not play him too much in the spring. If you, to your point, like, if he ends up becoming a trade chip, you want people to see him. It's maybe reading too much into it, and maybe it's just a matter of, like, the reps that are there for other guys. But when I look at kind of like Gilbert, Matos, Encarnacion, those guys, like Encarnacion in particular, him and Matos, comparing the reps they've gotten is wildly different. So he's gonna have some work to do to I think get more time this spring, and that I really have a hard time figuring out where he fits in. It's been really quiet. I talked to him for a few minutes. He seemed like he was in a good place, but it's just been really quiet on that front. And you kind of, you hear the way people talk about Encarnacion, and it's going to be difficult probably to have both of them on a roster. It could be done depending on what they do with Bryce, but he's the one I'm kind of watching the next couple of weeks to see how much time he gets, and whether he starts, as these WBC outfielders go to their 3 respective teams, whether he's getting a lot of time, or are we going like, Matos is behind, I don't know, Bo Davidson or whoever. Like, maybe not him, but he's just, I think he's been a little off to the side for the most part.
What is at this point, like, these guys being out of options, does that just completely mean the clock is out on giving them a chance?
With him, it's ordinarily would mean this is like the spring where you want to see all that you can.
Yeah.
With him, I also go back to last year, where in the second half, Drew Gilbert was the guy who got that shot down the stretch, and we just didn't see a lot of. We just haven't seen a lot of him the last couple years. I think we've said this earlier in the offseason. It felt like they kind of made up their mind about some of these guys, and a lot of them are gone, and he's still here and fighting for a job. It's just kind of a weird and odd situation where his best path is like an injury, where you kind of go like, huh, he's probably best served to be the everyday guy at that spot of the options you have left. But in terms of watching reps and watching guys, he just seems like he's a little behind some of the other guys who are fighting for those spots.
I guess that is the benefit to someone like him of a completely fresh coaching staff, is if a different group had kind of decided someone else was ahead of you in the queue, that might not be the case anymore. Now, Drew Gilbert being ahead of him in the queue might not be ideal, considering he has extensive history with the new manager and coaching staff, but you get what I'm saying. Fresh look for Matos before the door gets closed.
Yeah, and I really think with him, it's him and Encarnacion, and I guess I do this constantly, and I encourage people as they kind of think about roster moves, maybe sometimes like actually sit down and write out the names. And when you start doing that, you start to look around and see like, well, you can't have these two guys and that guy, or you can't have these three guys or whatever. So that's one where I really think it would be difficult with the makeup of this roster to carry both of them and to do it for too long. I mean, maybe it's one of those things they do at the start of the year, and everyone sets their 40-man at the end of camp, and teams are often a little sneaky at the end of March because they go like, well, nobody else wants to set their 40-man and then make a waiver claim right away. And Giants do have a weird schedule too that first week, and it's one of those things I have in the back of my head, like how much of their initial roster will be based on the fact that they have a day off the next day. And you can you have Logan Webb on the mound the first day, so you can almost like set a roster and then reset the roster 2 days later after everybody else sets theirs.
A classic opening day roster doesn't mean anything here on Giants Talk.
It never does, but this is it's something for us to talk about. But I think especially when we look at their schedule, I mean, they have 2 off days in the first five days of the season. So there are things they can do here to carry guys through that first weekend. And then if you feel like you're going to have to DFA a guy, you can do it that Monday before the Padres series and add guys who you anticipate being there for 6 months. But we also don't know how does Tony feel about things like that. I mean, he's a player's manager. There may be certain guys he doesn't want to have to tell. I mean, we saw remember it was New York, was it like 3 years ago, where a bunch of stuff happened at the last minute. Couple, like, who was it? Matt Beatty, who got added like the night before or something. It was tough on the players. So, and it was tough on the guys who had their parents coming out to be there. So there's a lot that goes into this, but that is all to say, I think some of these guys who are on this bubble really, really need to have a good month here. Just to some of them, it seems like decisions have been somewhat made.
Well, speaking of guys, I guess speaking of decisions that have been made, the decisions that are out of the Giants' hands, of course, are anything injury related. Stay healthy, stay healthy, stay healthy is the name of the game.
Yeah.
In spring training leading up to opening day. We've seen that go sideways in the past. How are they looking right now?
Pretty good shape. I mean, Peguero missed some time with a hamstring. He's going to throw a live BP on Friday. The ones I'm watching are the left side of the bullpen, because Hench is still behind, and it's still shoulder rehab for him, which has been a while with the shoulder. So, and you kind of, you ask about him and you go, you hear the old, we're going to be really cautious and just make sure he's right for the whole year. So that seems like a stretch for opening day. Eric Miller's had, I think, little things. He feels fine. He's thrown bullpens, hasn't thrown a whole lot in kind of their team settings, and maybe a guy who doesn't need to. I mean, not that he's, Logan Webb or anything, but given the injuries he had last year, probably don't need him until like a couple of weeks from now. Start getting him ready for the year. But the left side of that bullpen is where I'm looking, because that's where they've had just a little bit here. But in general, they've been pretty healthy.
All right. That's good news. That's good news. Anything else from Scottsdale before we move on to some friendly faces signing around the league, mailbag questions, and of course, your sit down with Bryce Eldridge?
No, I don't think so. I think, it's been, I get this question from everybody. I get texts from friends, and anyone I catch up with, they go, how's spring training? And I'm like, been pretty quiet for the most part.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, they didn't have, we've talked about the guys who had the hamate scares early, and guys, there's drama here and there. I think the Braves have lost like 2 starters already. So they've had like Tyler Mahle got sick for a couple days. So it's it's been quiet. It's a good thing. And we also remember last year with Encarnacion at the end of camp. I mean, the Baumgartner year at the end of camp, like you want to go as long as you can, because a lot of times end of March, like something weird happens right before.
The only alarm so far in spring training has been the literal fire alarm.
Literal, somebody apparently smoking in a.
I wasn't there. I wasn't in Scottsdale.
It was my first thought, but yeah, somebody else.
All right, taking a peek around the league, let's catch up with some old friends as we remember some guys. First off, Thairo Estrada signing in Baltimore with the Orioles. Alex, it feels like just yesterday here on Giants Talk, we were talking about if they could just build a team out of 9 Thairo Estrada types.
Oh, man.
They are set. And I don't know what happened, but no longer with us except in our hearts. But good to see he is landing on his feet in Baltimore.
I don't want to use AI to do this because it feels like a huge waste of water. But I would be curious, like, what the if you went back to some of the storylines we talked about a ton that you just kind of go, like, remember the JD Davis spring where Matt Chapman was here and everybody freaked out about JD Davis?
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes, what was the point of all that?
Is that a big enough upgrade?
There was, I think Thairo got done a little dirty at times near the end, but has not gone great for him since he left. So I wish him the best. He's had some injuries. Really nice guy. He had some really good moments as a Giant, but it is interesting sometimes when you're so in this, like, we host a Giants podcast 2 times a week and we talk for, sometimes 2 hours a week.
Yeah.
And sometimes you see a guy go elsewhere and you're just like, I guess it's just going to kind of bounce around now. Like Luciano's a good example. How many Luciano conversations have we had? And he's just maybe going to be in AAA with the Yankees for a while.
Do you know who's the king of this? How many Mauricio Dubon conversations have we had on Giants Talk?
He's actually probably had the best second act of any of the guys who
That's true. He got a ring.
Yeah, similar. And we've had Mauricio Dubon and Thairo Estrada discussions here.
We have.
Because I know, it's the questions we get. I know people are asking about him and people are talking about him, but Tyro's in that cycle now where he's looking to find some footing.
Injuries sidelined him, took him sideways in Colorado. Maybe he'll stay healthy over there and we can see a fresh start. One really more, nice. Michael Conforto, our old friend and our old enemy, signed with the Cubs in Chicago. Just seems like a great fit. I don't know what it is, vibes-wise.
It does.
You just look at him. I had to look and be like, had he played for the Cubs before?
Yeah.
Because he just seems like a Cub.
June 5th through 7th, June 12th through 14th. Good luck to the Giants pitchers on the mound for those 2 weekend series. We saw what he did last year. So
yes. Literally was kept around on the Dodgers roster for the Giants series. I don't know that the Cubs will need him that same way, so fingers crossed.
I feel like the Diamondbacks or Padres should have signed him just because of what he did against the Giants last year.
Absolutely. That's how you put together a team. And then one more update, our old friend Farhan Zaidi. I think we talked about this when it was rumored or in discussion, but Farhan and Andrew Friedman of the Dodgers are going to be working with the Lakers officially to get input on building their team.
Good question.
Here's my first thought was Dodgers, like, their big thing would be just hoodwink another team into trading their best player to you, like we did for Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
But the Lakers already pulled that card like half a year ago with the Luka Doncic trade. So what else do you need?
Who's the Lamont Wade Jr. of the NBA, I guess?
Yeah, that's who you need.
My guess with this, I did talk to somebody in a front office about this recently, just chatting about. My guess is there's a lot behind the scenes, a lot of analytics stuff, a lot of like department building, just chain of command, things like that the Lakers, I think, are weirdly like a bit of a mom and pop shop because they've been owned by the same family forever. And
Yeah.
they're known to not be maybe the most extravagant when it comes to things. They get the players because they're the Lakers. So
Yeah.
I think behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff they're probably bad at and have
Okay.
fallen really behind on. And in a weird way, like you can almost step in from baseball and be like, we've done this. Like, this is what your analytics department should look like. These are the people you should be hiring. Like, but there's a lot of overlap here. But I'm curious to see how it goes and where, where this ends up. Like, what does he, is he, it would be fascinating if he was, I know he loves basketball.
Yeah.
If that ended up being something from down the line where he's just more involved on that side. So I maintain he should run the Colorado Rockies and just have some fun with it. But they already made their hire.
We've been saying that it will happen eventually, and he is the guy to do it. But yeah, Lynch, it'd be interesting to see what this looks like, or even if there's any public-facing, observable changes with the Lakers. Are they going all in on agentic AI analytics or what?
It's a funny one because Farhan was really good around the margins, and
yeah,
the NBA is like such a try to get. I know it's changed a little bit with the rules, but in the cap stuff they have there and second apron and all that, but like it's such a like, can you get the three biggest stars?
Exactly, the margins don't exist the same.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see if there's something down the line where we're like, oh, that feels like a Farhan type move, or if this is just nothing ever comes of this, but. It is interesting to see his name continually in these headlines.
It is fun. All right. We have mailbag questions. You have Bryce Eldridge. Before we go any further, though, Giants Talk is presented by Mancini Sleep World. Mancini Sleep World offers high-quality mattresses for ultimate comfort and support, so you wake up energized and refreshed every morning. Plus, in addition to their Rest Easy promise, they have ongoing deals on top brands like Tempur-Pedic, starting at $29 a month, Avocado, Helix, and more. Rest easy at Mancini Sleep World. Stop by or visit online at sleepworld.com. Okay, Alex, mailbag questions. Our first one today is from listener Ed. Ed says, how do you teach a big leaguer to be a better outfielder? You hear about the greats and their instincts and first step, but how much can you teach that? Is it just reps on reps, or is there some technique special sauce that my little league coach never got around to sharing with us? This is something I've always been fascinated by, especially with a younger and less experienced manager coming in. I know he's got his coaching staff with veterans like Ron Washington handling a lot of this type of thing. But what does someone like Tony Vitello tell someone who's been in the major leagues for 4 to 6 years to improve what they're doing?
Well, first of all, yeah, there are a lot of things they know that you're a Little League coach never got around to. So that's the first thing. It's a good question, I think, with the outfielders in particular. And I will say the main thing for Elliott right now, I think, is positioning. And just and that's an interesting one for me with the new staff, because it is the same analytics group, and they're kind of the ones who do a lot of that stuff, figure out the cards and all that and where guys stand. So this is one that I think I want to circle back to like a month into the season, and now you can kind of see where he's being positioned, and you can know exactly how far he is. And there are little things. I mean, I watched him the other day do some drills that I hadn't seen necessarily before. So every outfield coach has his own methods. I think it's much easier to see on the infield. But with Elliott, I think there's some positioning things and some mentality things they can do with him. And I think an important thing too, and a lesson he learned last year, was some of that stuff stuck with him for a while. And but yeah, in terms of specifics, if you went and watched as I just did for 2 weeks, certainly there's some things we don't see, but for the most part, you would see similar to what you see in high school, which is coach just shooting ball after ball after ball out there, and guys taking turns getting reps. So most outfield drills are pretty similar. I've seen guys mix up a little bit at times, but
I saw your video you posted of guys doing the Talkman drill.
Yeah, I've seen that one before. I mean, guys trying to rob home runs.
If I was a little league, whatever, 14-year-old baseball player again, that is the drill I would want to do all day. Yeah. Favorite drill.
Yeah.
How high up the wall can you get?
There's little things like the other day they were doing a pop-up draw on the infield, and Tony and Jace Tingler were hitting the pop-ups. And somebody asked them afterwards about not using specifically like just not using machines to shoot those balls as high as you possibly can. And he's like, well, the spin's a little bit different coming off the bat. So coaches have their different methods, but I think with Elliott, a lot of it is just going to be putting him in a better place. So he's not. There were a lot of plays last year where he was diving and it felt like maybe didn't have to, for good or bad. Even his good plays, he does make the Superman catch.
We have a lot of questions, Alex, about ABS. We've kind of been waiting to, I think, clump them all in together. We talked about it a little bit during the early part of the offseason, but I figured we'd throw some in here. Lux asks, how will ABS impact Bailey? Now, this is kind of interesting because we've already seen Patrick Bailey take advantage of it on both sides of the plate, right?
Yeah, and I think he is still going to be the best at what he does. It's just going to be it's going to be a different type of best, if that makes sense. Like he is still going to be the best around the edges of the strike zone, and I think he's going to be really good at challenging. We've seen that. We've seen that so far, but some of this is going to be too, like, other players are going to think he's stealing strikes from them. So there might be some gamesmanship there. He has that reputation. It's going to change the way. I just don't think we have a great idea yet of what exactly that looks like. And I've talked to him a bunch. I've talked to Suzak a bunch about it. And Suzak told me in the minors, like, a lot of times guys who have a rep is good pitch framers, like, guys will go, oh, he screwed me there. I'm going to challenge it. And then, they were wrong. So I think there's a lot of gamesmanship to this. And I do think the fact that he is so good at that, and I don't know if I mentioned it here. I mentioned it somewhere, maybe a YouTube video or something, but he called balls and strikes during one of the scrimmages just because it was like, it's pretty common. The catcher will do it. And he missed one call the entire time. Like, it was, and they were doing it with ABS a little bit, but he had like one call missed the entire time of just what he was calling behind the plate because they had TrackMan on it. So
I want to see the Bailey umpire scorecard.
The umpire scorecard was like 99%.
There it is.
He's really good at it, and it'll benefit them. I think it's just something we don't know yet how exactly.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about the fact that the skill to, trick an ump into thinking a ball right off the plate is a strike is more or less the same skill to trick a batter into challenging a pitch that you waste the challenge on, get it wrong.
I've again talked to a lot of guys who have experienced this, and I think there's going to be, and this is one reason I love it, I think there's going to be a lot of unintended consequences, and or just maybe not the right way to put it, but just a lot of things we haven't thought about. And I don't know if you saw the other day, like, there was an umpire in a Yankees game that teams went like 6 for 7 challenging him in like a 20-minute period. And that's like, if somebody gets challenged 15 times in a game because they're just having a horrible game.
Well, and some of these guys, like, Mike Krukow talks all the time about knowing how he's the expert of an umpire's zone. And a lot of times these umps, especially the ones who've been in the league for ages, they have a zone, and it might not be the same as what ABS thinks the zone is.
Well, guess what, umpire? You are going to have a rough day.
Yeah.
At some point, we're going to have a day. It's been pretty, like, you get 3 challenges, 4 challenges a game. I think the average is like 5 right now, something like that. Giants games, it seemed like every team's doing 3 or 4. There's going to be a Giants game at some point where it's a horrible ump, and there's like 15 challenges. And it's terrific podcast fodder for us. It's tough for that umpire. He's gonna have a tough day, and I do think some guys might end up just not being built for this era. Like, if you are getting challenged 12, 15 times, multiple times a week or a month, like, and you're not able to adjust, you just might not be an umpire anymore.
That reminds me, Alex, I did get a few messages from our listeners who wanted to tell us umpires they still have beef with and are willing to boo when they go out. We talked about how the main character umpire is a dying breed after a rash of recent retirements. But CB Buckner came up, and Gabe Morales of 2021 fame came up.
There are a few. Yeah, they still have their ways, but
yeah.
I think the guys who, and the flip side of that is somebody who's in the minors last year told me, like, some of the umps who have a really bad rep, guys will challenge because of that rep, and then they'll be wrong because the ump got the call right, and they're like, there's no way Phil Cuzzy got that one right. Well, you actually did get that specific one right, and you just lost your challenge.
Well, on this same subject, Lee asks, why do we trust the ABS graphics that claim to be down to 0.1 inches or less?
Great question.
I guess we trust them because we're told this thing's super accurate and we have to trust it.
I guess it's, why do we trust any technology? Like, why do we, if you have a stopwatch on your phone and it stops at 20.3 seconds, like, you just assume it's right.
Yeah.
I would say just because we probably just trust anything. And more importantly, I've seen some of this going around. Like, people who are like, I don't like this. It's also better than what we've had. Mm-hmm. So why do we trust umpires? These random dudes. A lot of them whose names you don't know. So
the next great baseball heist and controversy will be a team that manages to hack the ABS.
We could just go, maybe we end up fully old school in 5 years.
Exactly. The Houston Astros do it again. Carrie says, can you give me an overview of how much time WBC players miss? Does it impact team bonding or players' preseason warm-up time? How many Giants are playing in the WBC this year? This is a good question because I think when I think about the World Baseball Classic, it's a much lengthier, almost like a 1 month tournament in my head. But it's 2 weeks, right?
It's like 7 games if you win the title or something. I think. So I mean, Logan, all those guys are going first week of March. Many of them are on teams that will probably be eliminated in pool play and will be back quickly. So it does not impact team chemistry at all. I think if anything, it, maybe helps just with the kind of locker room trash talk that's going to be going on. And I'm sure guys are going to be getting together to watch if teammates are playing or their friends are playing against their teammate or whatever. So won't impact that. In terms of who specifically is going, Arias, Bader, Beck, Buto, Lee, Peguero. Well, he's injured now, but Ramos, San Martin, and Webb. So not kind of half and half. Like, a lot of key guys, but a lot of their key guys stayed. And some of those guys will be, no, Tristan Beck would probably say this on the pod himself, like, probably does not expect to be in Houston for longer than 5 days. You
don't think ye old Great Britain is bringing home the WBC this year?
Maybe they will, but
no.
Isn't Scooble facing Great Britain?
Oh, great. All right.
Yeah.
Revolutionary War, V2.
So, good luck to
Well, and then what about, you talk about 7 games spread out over 2 weeks, especially with so many of those guys being pitchers or like Logan Webb. Do they get sent with here is your spring training workout plan and that kind of thing to do on off days and kind of like spring training is still in the mix here. It's not WBC 24/7.
Yeah. Team USA has a training facility in Houston. Like they're using someone's facility. All I've heard is it's really far, but they will have it figured out.
Okay. One more question from Kevin, or a couple more questions, but next question's from Kevin. Apologies to Kevin. This one's been in our hopper for quite a while, and I think fell between the cracks, but we got it back into the rotation. Kevin says, the Bay Bridge series is sadly no longer a thing. As MLB leans into the designated interleague rivalry thing even more, is it time to switch up the dance partners? Specifically, should the Giants and Mariners become rivals based on their geography, similar cultures? Will the A's square off against their fellow desert dwellers in Arizona?
We're trying to get rid of the Vetter Cup or whatever.
So now the Padres are just high and dry without a rival. I cannot fathom. I get what it coming completely logically and like on paper. Yeah, it seems like San Francisco and Seattle would be a nice, cold weather West Coast, similar cultures and vibes, rivalry. I have no energy or interest or anything about beefing with the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah. It's, for me, it's just always going to be Dodgers, and we'll see what happens when the A's move, if that matters at all.
Yeah. I mean,
but
at least if the A's were changing team names or something, I could get it. But as long as they're the A's, there's still a historical context to that. And I think that has to hang.
Yeah. And I almost kind of think they still have to be like paired with them for the sake of these weekends, because you want to put Giants Dodgers separately.
Yes.
So you don't want this to be like it's rivalry weekend and it's Mariners Padres and Giants Dodgers. Like I kind of just want to put that to the side and let them have their fun. But I don't know, maybe we can find a reason to hate Seattle. We have the football thing. So
that's true. I guess the 49ers fans are listening to me say that and just like pulling their eyes out of their.
You know what they really need is just Tony's talked a lot about St. Louis and the Giants and his memories growing up. Like, they really just need to get back to the postseason, so there can be some teams where you start to hate them because of postseason play, as opposed to just, hey, you have to hate the A's because they're across the bridge. So there was, even in the title years, there was some good Cardinals series there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now how all the geographic rivalries kind of shake out. Do the D-backs right now just like not have anyone? Who do they get paired up with? One of the Texas teams?
I don't know, probably Colorado.
I guess, maybe it's Rockies, D-backs, or those two square off against the Texas teams.
I don't know that the A's are. First of all, we're going to be dead wrong on that stadium because it seems like they're actually building it. But
it does, apparently. I went to Vegas not that long ago, and it just looked like a weird dump truck storage lot.
I don't know that they're going to have like a natural rival.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Dodger fans there anyway. So
yeah. Question from Cube. Cube says, more of a request, not a question. Any chance you can put pressure on whoever does the giveaways to revive the Kuiper double bobblehead from 2002? Would be an instant sellout. What do you think, Alex? We've been looking for a cause. Is reviving a 24-year-old bobblehead this year's Giants Talk petition?
Do you just have like 10 boxes of those in the garage somewhere?
I have so many of those.
Yeah.
I have a box of those. I think those ones that are being described here had a little button you press and it talks. I'm sure all the ones I have, the button is like
don't work.
Does not work anymore, but they're there.
I'm constantly trying to get both Kruk and Kuiper on my screen because they're on separate sides. And I need to bring it back just to put them together.
That's fair.
Behind me. But yeah, I would assume down the line at some point we'll get another one of those. I love that one. I remember that from when I've seen that around the ballpark quite a bit.
With the big desk, the big kind of removable desk, the battery-powered speaker. Yeah, that was a fun one. I like that one a lot. And then shout out to listener Danny. We were talking about Giants mottos. Obviously, they ran back the one that we've been joking about for years. But Danny pointed out that the Cubs motto is just, and I didn't look this up, but I'm trusting him the same way we trust the ABS graphics that claim to be down to 1 inches. You looked it up.
I did.
The Cubs motto is just this.
This. It is. I looked it up. I'm here reading. Yeah, there's an entire story about this.
So it has a story, because my thought was this was like a tongue-in-cheek internet meme minimalist kind of thing, like the D-backs kind of leaned into when they made the World Series a few years ago.
No, it's just this. I mean, it's like the internet this.
Okay.
Which means some firm out there got paid a lot of money to just literally just hand him this.
I'm just picturing Don Draper.
Yeah.
Putting this up on a PowerPoint.
It's it's a rough one. I think some people ran with me saying I had heard that nothing like it was going away. It is back.
Oh, it's back.
But I will say I did not hear incorrectly when I heard last year. I don't know what exactly happened, but nothing like it is back for another year.
Okay. Okay, so there was an option left on Nothing Like It.
They
signed the option,
the club option on
yeah.
Nothing Like It.
Okay, but something's getting there is a minor league AAA slogan that could get a call up in the next year.
Yeah, I think maybe didn't like the free agents that were out there. Maybe they hired the same marketing firm and they just came back with this. And they were like,
the Giants were about to use this, and then it got snagged by the Cubs, and they were like, no.
Rough one.
I would absolutely wear a Giants shirt, or I guess a Cubs shirt in this context that just said this. The more that we talk about it, the more I love it.
I almost feel, we talked in seriousness about like you have to get a bunch of teenagers in a room and hand it to them. And
how will you make fun of this?
I do almost feel like the more I just am thinking about what people do online, like I feel like teams would actually go like, oh, you're going to make fun of this endlessly? Cool. That's engagement.
There's no such thing as bad engagement.
Yeah. So I guess, so we maybe we're thinking about it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So
this is, all right. I actually kind of believe that now that you say it. That is a conspiracy theory I am 100% on board with, is like making mottos.
This is going to be so easy to make fun of, but they're also going to get that hashtag is going to be out there millions of times.
So. And we get graded on how viral our posts go, not on how good the reaction is.
Pretty much.
All right. With that, let's take it to our interview. Thank you to everyone who sent us mailbag questions. As always, if you have questions you want us to address here on Giants Talk, send them to wherever you can find Alex or myself on social media. I think we're on most of the big ones. Put them in Alex's YouTube comments, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, wherever you can find us, and we'll add them to our list. In the meantime, Alex, you sat down with Bryce Eldridge. What did you guys talk about? I mean, it's been a big year for Bryce Eldridge. We have a new jersey number for him. We've got a year of big expectations. Where do we want to start?
A little bit of everything. New jersey number, some outfield reps, the work he's doing at first base.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe the third or fourth time he's been on here. He's obviously a very, very confident guy. And it's one of those where I don't think we need to talk about it every podcast, but it is kind of in the corner all spring of just what are they going to do with Bryce Eldridge. So
yes,
maybe more of a when we get to like March, second week of March, and a bit of a bigger sample size. But I will say he has played a ton, and he's been in the lineup just about every day and getting a lot of action. And they are taking a real long, hard look at this to figure out what to do. All
right. With that, here is the big fella, Bryce Eldridge.
All right, Bryce Eldridge, second spring here. We've talked a lot to you, not just going back to FanFest, but also spring here. And we've talked to Tony about the whole recruiting thing. But I want to go back to like high school when you met Tony, when you broke his heart. What do you remember about that time?
Yeah, Tennessee was heavily recruiting me, as well as Alabama and Auburn were kind of like my final three choices. And I love Tennessee. I love Tony. I think for me personally, I kind of grew up a Bama fan, and Bama was kind of my dream school. Me and my brother were big A.J. McCarron fans back when he was playing there. So that kind of started my love for Alabama. And my brother actually ended up going to school at Tennessee, so he'll never admit that publicly that he was a Bama fan at once, but he was. And, so I think just the relationship I had with those two schools, I had great relationships with the people who were recruiting me and the coaches there. And ultimately, Bama was the dream school, and that's why I chose that. But I keep telling him I think it was meant to be. It was destiny that I was going to play for him one day.
Did you do a visit or anything? I mean, I know he came and watched you, but did you visit Tennessee and see his program? And
Yeah. I went there in 2019, my freshman year of high school, and did a camp there and hit BP there and got to do the whole tour and met with him. And, he was great. Current coach there, Elander, was great too. So obviously there was a reason that, it came down to them and Bama. But like I said, Bama was kind of the dream school. So
you said a couple days in here that, you've gotten to spend some more time with him now. And you said, that's my guy. Like it just, you realized right away. Why? What sticks out about him that, especially for you, makes him kind of like, this is the guy I'm going to follow?
Yeah, I mean, he's a player's coach. It just naturally feels like you can have, great conversation with him. I think with managers and pro ball, it kind of gets like very formal. And I think with him, there's a fine line of obviously having, the utmost respect for him and his position and his role. But it's like, you have that comfort of like, you can go talk to him about, your personal life or anything that's going on. And I kind of feel like that comfort with him and just, the way he goes about it and the way he goes about his business on the field and in the clubhouse, he fires me up. So it's, I think we kind of just clicked day one, and obviously I'm a college age kid. So I think he naturally probably, connects with guys my age better. So I think, maybe I'm not speaking for everyone, but I'm sure everyone would tell you that he's pretty amazing.
Every interview I've done with you, we talk about your progression at the plate, defensively. I heard a story the other day that when Tony went to watch you in high school, that you had a guy run for you because you're pitching, you're DH, you're the best player. And the point of that was that he hasn't even run the bases as much as maybe some other guys. How much are you just kind of like soaking in here, and even things like that? Like base running is still, this sounds weird, but like a little bit new to you in some ways.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, obviously, being a young guy, I'm learning new things every day anyways. And that was something on top of the defense that they've been harping on with me is, my reads on the bases and reading balls in the gap, trying to get the extra base. And that's just been a big thing for me. That was something that I never really thought I had to focus on like that. But every little detail matters at this level. And you start to learn that pretty quick once you get into this level of baseball. So, I've definitely been working on it with our coaches out here, not just recently, but over the last few years.
You told me you were miles better at first base than you were this time a year ago. What specifically has changed for you over the last year?
I think I'm just really getting comfortable with my footwork. I think a lot of guys will tell you once your footwork gets cleaned up, the glove hand gets cleaned up a lot, and that feels true with me. I've had some great coaches over the last few years at every level, and they've really been working me at first base and working my feet, and even the strength coaches pulling out the drill ladder for me to kind of get better at being agile on my feet. So it's been great, and I think just the footwork aspect of it has been like a big starting point for me and like cleaning up everything else. So we're gonna keep hammering at it. Obviously we got Wash here now, so it's been pretty cool to work with him and get to share time over there with him and pick his brain.
He said he wants your legs to be burning every single day when you go through drills. I will never go through drills with Ron Washington. For you who has done it, explain to Giants fans maybe what stands out about him and what makes him such a special coach.
Yeah, I mean, he harps on consistency. He doesn't expect us to be perfect because no one's perfect. But he expects us to be, good at the routine things and good at the little things. And, that's what's most important in this game. That's why we're all here is, we're consistent. We do the little things the right way. And, he expects you to just be your best every day and bring the energy. And he definitely kicks our butt a little bit out there and gets the legs a little fired up. But, down the road when hopefully I'm winning Gold Gloves with this team, I'm going to look back on it and say it's all worth it. And, it's pretty cool, growing up watching him and watching videos of him with players and being in, my shoes now, getting to work with him. It's kind of a full circle dream moment.
Do you have that in the back of your head? I mean, everyone kind of thinks about the hitting with you, but do you have that, like, maybe there is a Gold Glove down the line?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. That's something that, obviously the hitting side of it, I've got goals there, but, I set goals out once I got here and realized that I was far behind defensively, and I knew I had some work to be done. So that's definitely been a goal of mine, one day to win a Gold Glove. And, I know I'm athletic enough. I know I'm going to work hard enough to try and do it. And, having Wash around now gives me more confidence to try and go do that one day.
You have gotten some reps in the outfield here. I know it's something you're a little excited about. Had the glove sent down.
Yeah.
What do you envision the rest of this spring looking like for you from that perspective? Would you want to do it in a game, or how do you do that?
I wouldn't mind doing it in a game. I don't know if I will be in spring. I think, me getting out there is just making them more comfortable if they did have to throw me out there at some point, and gives me more versatility to get my bat in the lineup. So that was just something me and Vitello spoke about and something he wanted me to do. And, I feel good out there. Obviously, I haven't gotten any game reps out there recently or the last few years. And last time was in San Jose the year I got drafted. But, I'm just going to keep working at it, keep working on that. And if they need me to go out there in the season, I hope they trust me to go do that and do it well.
I'm watching BP on the backfield the last week, and you and Devers are the two, obviously, that just stand out. And especially the way that backfield is set up, like, it's almost like you're aiming for the apartments behind it, and there's that big fence there. But When you watch him and think about, the potential of a lot of your career could be spent in the heart of the lineup, hitting with him, what does that look like to you down the line?
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I just think it's really cool to, have two big lefty bats, first baseman, DH, in the middle of a lineup. I think it's gonna be really dangerous, and it's just cool. He's such an amazing guy, and he's really been great to me, which I really appreciate. And our relationship is just getting started, but he's been great to me at first base. He's cracking jokes, making it fun out there when sometimes it gets difficult, and he's picking me up if I have a bad day on defense or in the cage or whatever. So, I'm excited to keep getting to know him and to keep playing with him and keep doing some damage in the order. Maybe park some balls in the bay. Yeah.
He doesn't have to be, because if you become a Gold Glove first baseman, that makes him a DH.
Exactly.
Has it surprised you at all that he's been so helpful?
I wouldn't say it surprises me, but obviously you hear stories about guys who have been around for a long time, and they kind of stick to themselves and do their own thing. But I haven't seen that with anyone here. Everyone here, from top to bottom, we got fantastic group of people. I think that's what starts with a great team, is the people who are on the team, not the players. And we're going to keep rooting for each other. We're going to keep supporting each other, helping each other out as much as we can on the defensive side and hitting side.
The other thing I noticed a lot is you and Drew are around each other a lot, and I know you came up after him around the same time, and you said you've kind of followed a little bit. I mean, what's that relationship like? And to be frank, it just stands out because you're so tall and he's not. And when we see you guys doing reps together, but what's the relationship like with you two?
It's amazing. Me and Drew go back to the 2024 Fall League. We played together, and obviously he's kind of been in the spotlight for a little bit since his days at Tennessee. So I've gotten to kind of grow up watching him even, play at Tennessee as a fan of the game. We're kind of close to age, not really, but I watched him at Tennessee. I watched him coming up through the minors, and I followed him just because of how fun he was to watch at Tennessee. But it's been great getting to know him. I think him coming to Sacramento when he got traded, I think was cool for us because, I was one of the guys on the team who was a familiar face. So, I think that's when our bond kind of really started. And he went through similar experience getting called up, a couple weeks before I did. And I think I kind of leaned on him to try and bring some comfort into that situation of getting called up and, leaning on him, asking him questions. And he was always there for me. He was offering help, and he's a great guy, so he's easy to talk to. He's funny, as you can probably tell. So that's the guys like that I kind of tend to lean on.
I talked to you at the end of the year about the kind of 2 weeks you had and what you took out of that. When you got home, got to relax a little bit, got to finally fully rehab a little bit your wrist. Did you take anything different away from those at-bats you had? Was there anything that you were like, I didn't really realize this in the moment, but now that I look back at those, this is what I kind of discovered about myself?
Yeah, I wouldn't say so, much about the at-bats. I just say adjustment-wise, with the swing, just, I think I was lacking a little bit. Wasn't really getting my barrel up. With guys that are that good in the big leagues, throwing that hard and have that good of stuff, you got to get the barrel up. And what I mean by that is my barrel was kind of just hanging on my shoulder and wasn't getting in a good spot. But, it's the end of season and some things kind of get all out of whack once you get tired at that point. So just trying to stay consistent there and, taking lessons from the guys that are around here. And, I still have the utmost confidence that I'm going to have a big impact on this team this year. And obviously, like I said before, it didn't go the way I wanted it to, but, I really, truly, deep down felt like I belonged. And, I felt like, this is going to be a really fun ride for years to come. And being around these guys more and more is making me more comfortable in that setting too. So
you almost went deep a couple times on that first road trip. How much is that? Are you thinking about that? How much were you thinking about that in the offseason, just the feeling of when that happens in the big leagues?
Yeah, I try to not think about it, but a lot of people like to bring it up. So, it hurts a little bit.
Well, think about it from a positive point of view, just dreaming about the one that will happen.
Right, yeah. And I'm sure, I didn't get too caught up in that just because I know there will be plenty more to come. I know I got the power to do that, and, I could accidentally hit some out. So that's just what I've been blessed with skill-wise. And I'm, I haven't I haven't really taken too much time to think about, I wish I had got one last year. You know, obviously I wish I could have helped the team a little bit more, but I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come in the future.
I'll finish with this. I don't know if you realize how insane fans get about jersey numbers, and you have a real jersey number now, number 8. What's the backstory for that with you?
Yeah, so growing up in the DC area, I had season tickets to the Capitals almost my whole life to this point, and I was a big Ovechkin fan. And 8 has always kind of mean something to me, and it's always meant something to the DMV area. I think he got drafted in 2004, which is the year I was born, and he is still with the team. So he's been there my whole life. So 8 has always been an important number to me and my family and my area. And I'm a huge Ravens fan too. So Lamar Jackson has been, I've grown up watching him quarterback my team for, I think he's on year 9 now. So 8 has always been important to me. And those are kind of like my 2 sports idols outside of baseball. So yeah.
You just had to make us feel old with the 2004.
Yeah.
That's when I was born.
Yeah.
Bryce, thank you for doing this. Enjoy camp, and we'll see where this ends up for you. But I know you have big goals for this year. You've never been shy about the expectations you have, so we're excited to watch.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.